Hello everybody and welcome to Pravus Gaming. Let's try Stellaris Federations, the latest and greatest expansion for Paradox's 4X sci-fi strategy hit, Stellaris. This is an expansion that completely overhauls the diplomatic game in Stellaris. Federations are far more interesting than before. There's a new Galactic Community which functions like a space UN, origins for an empire, etc. So many things that I want to check out in this next couple of videos, and a big thank you to Paradox Interactive for sponsoring this mini-series and getting me early access to the expansion so I can record footage for you guys. This video will be going live on the day that Federations releases, and on top of that, Paradox is going to be having a sale for the rest of their Stellaris content until March 20th. So if you guys like what you see, then take a look at the description down below for a link, and you can get in on the action. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and start up a new game. Now, I will say up front that I do not consider myself to be an expert on all things Stellaris. I am not really the authority figure to try and figure out OP civilization builds that will break the game, so I'll leave other more intelligent people to do that. Instead, I'm going to just try to create a fairly generic, well not generic, but a fairly nice race that's not intended to be overly competitive, and just have fun with it and see how far we can get with the new mechanics. Speaking of new mechanics, let's go ahead and talk about the origin of an empire. This is a new feature in your species creation. These are kind of like roleplay backstories for your empire, and depending on which one you choose, you'll get various different benefits or starting conditions that might change your game a little bit. Now, in order to get all of these, you have to have all of the expansions for Stellaris. Some of them will be locked behind different types of content. For example, Calamitous Birth, which is what we'll end up using, is Lithoid exclusive. And if you don't have the Lithoid content pack, well then there's not a lot of point in having this enabled now, is there? So that could be a really good opportunity to pick up some expansions during the sale for the next couple of days if one of these really catches your fancy. Most of them will be unlocked though just from the vanilla game and from the Federation's expansion. Now let's take a look at some of these. Some of them only change your starting conditions with pops. For example, Prosperous Unification for 4 more pops in 2 districts, Mechanist for robots, the ability to research them and build them, Syncretic Evolution, very strong, a second subservient species. Others will change your starting world, so Life-Seeded for a Gaia world, Post-Apocalyptic for a Tomb world, Remnants for a Relic world, even a Shattered Ring for a Ring world, which you can repair, which can be phenomenally powerful, or perhaps your world broke and you learned how to live in space on habitats, and the Void Dwellers only can build habitats, or rather they prefer to live there if possible. All of those are pretty cool. I think there's also a machine world for the robots down over here. Some of the other origins, however, are going to change your starting condition and maybe change your playstyle entirely. So, for example, the Scion. The Scion starts as a vassal of a fallen empire. Now, I have no idea if this ends up being really good. Maybe as a vassal of the fallen empire, you get research bonuses for all the fallen empire tech, and you very suddenly can rise to prominence, overthrow your overlord, and become a superpower in the galaxy. Maybe, I don't know. There's also Galactic Doorstep, so you have a dormant gateway in your home system. The Tree of Life, which is Hive Mind exclusive, and allows you to have a special tree modifier on your home planet, and every time you colonize, you plant a new sapling. But if you ever lose the tree, you are absolutely decimated. On the Shoulders of Giants lets you start with an archaeological site, which is a bit of a roll of the dice. Could be really good, could be really bad, not too sure. Calamitous Birth, Lithoids are going to colonize by launching meteors at planets, basically, which is pretty awesome. Then we have a couple of other weird ones called Common Ground and Hegemon. These actually start you in Federation right from the beginning. You are going to be one nation with 2 other smaller races with their own starting planets nearby, and presumably all 3 of you will continue to play and expand as normal, but you're all a part of that faction. So your Federation, hopefully, can really rise to prominence rapidly in the galaxy. I don't know how exactly these are going to work out as far as like balance. They may be really good, they may be really bad, I'm not too sure. But it depends probably a lot on the skill of your AI partners. Then we have a weird one called Doomsday. This is a challenge origin. So your homeworld will explode within 35 to 45 years after the game starts. So you better get the heck out of there before you blow up. But there are no guaranteed habitable planets nearby. So you might just die after 40 years, unable to go anywhere else. That would be horrible. And then finally, we have Lost Colony. An advanced empire of your same species spawns somewhere else in the galaxy. Presumably, a colony ship got lost somewhere else in space. Maybe you guys meet up and you're friends and you find your common ties, or maybe you decide there can only be one and you fight to the death. I don't really know. Now, I've already created a civilization called the United Geodes of Rook, which is a lithoid species, which means we do not require food, but instead feed upon minerals, which could end up being really good for us. I am going to use the Calamitous Birth. So a meteor carrying lithoid species smashed into a planet, and then we took over, and now we can launch more meteors to colonize more worlds. That could be kind of fun for us. On top of that, though, we are also sedentary, so we're not very good at resettling or immigrating. We're slow learners, so we gain experience slowly. But we are intelligent for some extra research, because I do like going for a bit of a tech rush, and industrious because 15% more minerals makes a lot of sense for a nation that needs building materials and minerals as food. For our government, we are a science directorate because I like technocracy. This is one of my favorites from the earlier versions of the game. It is still very powerful. As you are building up research facilities and getting more science directors and so on, you get unity, which means we'll be able to continue down our ascension path a little bit faster while still pursuing the research that I want. Also, I'm going for Byzantine bureaucracy. Now, usually you could not mix these two together, but Byzantine bureaucracy has been reworked. Now, bureaucrats produce unity and stability. I have no idea if this is actually good or not. I will show you what building produces bureaucrats in a little bit, and I think I will use bureaucrats. It's just a question of whether this is actually worth the civic. As far as my traits, though, I'm also going to be having a fanatic materialist, which is what you need for technocracy. Very good for robots, very good for research, and xenophile, because I want other people to have a higher opinion of me so we can form federations. Alright, and on top of that, let's just also take a quick look-see for the fun of it. Our ruler is going to be named Dwayne, and his title is Big Chief Rock. So, Dwayne the Big Chief Rock. Yep, I think y'all know exactly where I'm going with that. All right, let's go ahead and start up a new game. Here we go. Ooh, cool. We get some new origin text as well. That's awesome. While our true origins are unknown, we do know that our pre-sapient ancestors arrived on a vast meteorite which slammed into Rukrak Rock in a fiery cataclysm and wiped out most of the native inhabitants. In the eons since, the first primitive geode spread out over Rukrak Rock evolved and multiplied. Our civilization has spread and prospered, and with the invention of the hyperdrive, we stand ready to explore the galaxy. All right, so there's our planet of Rukrak Rock, which is pretty fun. So here's that new building I was talking about with bureaucrats. It is called the Administrative Offices, and this gives you extra Empire Sprawl capacity, which is certainly going to be quite good, as I usually find myself going grossly over the limits. We will be building a few of those. This is where I'm hoping we get a lot of extra unity and stability by having these buildings. But we'll see how that works out. All right, let's go ahead and get started by choosing up some science. I think the 5% research speed is just kind of a no-brainer. Pop growth would not be a bad idea. I also like the extra monthly unity, but I think pop growth... Let's go for the monthly unity. I think pop growth might be better. And let's go for another 20% minerals from miners. So, wow, that works extremely well for a lithoid species. I'm pretty happy with that. All right, now let's take a look at our map and see if we can find any good choke points. Looks like this area is already more or less cut off. If we can get a choke point, let's say here and here, we'll be able to take this entire area of space uncontested. And then I'll consider possibly pushing out a little bit further, but we might run into some other empires at some point. So that may or may not end up working out for us. I don't know. All right, so let's see. Let's start with the science ship. And I'm going to go explore some nearby regions. I'm not going to survey them quite yet. I just want to find out where our starting planets are going to be so I know where I want to colonize. Okay, so now that we have finished building up the Rook section, if I can finish surveying, let's say, Shutra or something like that, I will use my construction ship to move over here and... Whoops, hello. We have already found some enemies? Really? Okay, hang on. That's weird. Right, so I wanted to say I'll take my construction ship and go and build over here, but we immediately get a hostile fleet. A hijacked fleet from the Grey Disciples. Well, geez, okay, good thing we have a station for our capital already over here, but we might lose some ships a little faster than I was expecting. Jesus! What kind of a weird freaking event is that? I've never seen that happen before. That is terrible. All right, well, we destroyed the cultists. You, construction ship, are going to move over here with the expectation that I'm going to take over this. We still need to survey this area, and we can go for our first tradition. What should I get? Well, discovery is pretty good for research. I do like this. So you get a lot of extra experience, a lot of extra levels and stuff for your scientists. Pops working with research have their upkeep reduced. All of it's good. That said... yeah, this gives so much science, but I think I'm going to go for expansion. Because I do like the idea of getting extra pops, additional pop growth speed, more starbase, upkeep reduction, influence cost reduction, and sprawl is reduced. So this seems pretty good, and I do plan on doing some aggressive expansion fairly early on if we can. I'm going to go ahead and get over here and build an outpost here right away so that I can start building up a colony ship with Rook. Now, if we go to our shipyard over here, we have a special class colony ship. It is called the Lithoid Meteorite, and it costs 500 minerals. As opposed to 200, then 200 alloys, and 200 consumer goods. So this is just better in general. But we can build one of these suckers, costs 500, and we launch a meteor, add another planet so we can begin the colonization process. Another excavation site. What the heck is happening there? Let's actually take a look at our capital because we can actually see the impact of the crater from this origin. So right here, we have a lithoid crater. Habitability minus 50%. We did irreparable damage to the planet. I assume that this does not apply to me because I still have 100% habitability here. So I'm assuming this only applies to anyone else who tries landing here instead of myself, right? And then if we go over here to the planetary features, we scroll down, there it is. Massive crater. Max districts plus 6. They are mining districts, but we have less agricultural districts, which is perfectly fine given that, you know, we don't use food. Also, pop growth speed goes up by 25%, which is a really nice feature for me, and I like that one a heck of a lot. Cultist marauders encountered. Gosh dang it. We have sighted ships flying the flag of the Great Disciples in the Shutra system. They have charged their weapons and are moving to intercept us. You've got to be freaking get over here. Good grief. I don't know what's going on and why we have so many events going on here. I don't usually play on a lower difficulty below Commodore, so maybe that's why. Let's see. Blue lasers and plume deflectors. I think I'm just going to go ahead and grab things like the blue lasers. Let's start working on some upgrades for our weapons. Okay, when we destroyed the cultist fleet. Is this going to be a recurring problem? Because I'm really not sure I'm in the mood. Let's go for colonization fever, which does give me an additional pop once we have finished setting up a colony. Speaking of which, we can actually go over here to Rim, or Rime, and send the meteorite over to the planet and colonize. So let's see, where is our lithoid meteorite? There it is. It's a literal rock. Whee! All right, we're gonna get stuck on the edge of space. There we go. And whee! Do we get to see a big boom? I want to see an explosion animation. Ah, no, we just hover over. Ah, that sucks. Oh, well. First geoid colony we have arrived on Rim is nothing short of cataclysmic. A massive shockwave scours a continent clean of life, and the habitability level of Rim drops noticeably as megatons of debris are thrown into the atmosphere. Our colonists, encased safely within the rocky core of the meteorite, will soon emerge and begin setting up prefabricated colonial infrastructure. A great day for the United Geodes of Rook. So it does look like maybe the habitability went down a little bit. It's hard to tell for absolute sure, but there we go. Fun stuff. Okay. So I'm going to be continuing to explore and building up as much as I can over here, but Stellaris is a very long game. And obviously, in order to fully take advantage of the new diplomatic features, I need to meet some other nations and then also try to form some sort of a federation with them. So I'm going to have to probably zoom forward a little bit in order to cram all of this into only 3 videos. So don't mind me if we do some jump cuts or if I just kind of speed forward, which I'm probably doing right now. I will just continue to play the early game, and if anything really exciting happens, I will let you know. Gosh dang it, more cultist marauders! Oh, good, their numbers include a strange ship of an unfamiliar design. Where are they now? Oh, they're over here, and they're actually strong enough to be a threat. Oh, crap. Well then, you better freaking run, and we need to hope that these guys are going to come to my capital so I can fight them there, because I cannot contend with that right now. We're receiving a distress signal from the ISS Identel. The crew has gone mad and are killing each other. The captain has lost all control. Sending help would be futile at this point. And my science ship just blew up. Game, I can't decide what you're trying to teach me here. Do you hate me or not? Yes or no? Here comes another asteroid, or meteor, or whichever you prefer, I guess. Peggle 3 shall be mine. Boom! Ha! There we go. Another massive habitability boost, or drop from the lithoid crater, but okay, seems reasonable. We have established a new colony in Rim. That's good. Aha, we have discovered somebody else. Okay. And an asteroid has been sighted. Isn't that a good thing? Our deep space tracking arrays have made an alarming discovery. Okay, the asteroid must be destroyed before it's too late. What if it has more lithoids aboard, though? Alright, these are actually another lithoid species, believe it or not. Hegemonic Imperialists. We want nothing to do with these folks. I mean, I'll say that I'm delighted to meet them, but let's be honest, I want to kill them. So, all the more reason we really want to take either this point or this point as a good choke point to prevent them from going anywhere. We do not want them coming into my space, if at all possible. So, the meteor is right over here, apparently, and we should send our fleet to go and destroy it. It is on its way. Very slowly it is on its way, and actually my station alone might be able to deal with it, but let's play it safe and use the fleet just to make sure nothing bad happens. You are going to claim the system, and there's 24 minerals over here, and this place still hasn't been finished researching. What the heck happened? It's a triple star. Oh, baby, a triple! That's nuts! Alright, let's destroy this freaking asteroid before it destroys my planet. I mean, it's getting a heck of a lot closer. It's getting uncomfortably close. Okay, well, we got it, so that's gonna be fine. Asteroid destroyed, and we get 1,000 minerals. Well, thank you. That actually will translate into a free pup for me. Let's see, a little bit more for our traditions. Let's go for the Empire Sprawl reduction, since we are now starting to get a little close to our capacity. So this has been rebalanced slightly in the latest expansion, in Federations. I believe if you go over your Empire Sprawl, the penalties are harsher than they used to be, which is a little bit of a pain. Also, a faction was founded. Okay, I don't care about that. Yes, so it's more penalizing than it was before, but that's exactly why these administrative offices can become so important. Once you find yourself in a position where you're taking like 20 or 30% tech cost reduction, and that's not even that much, really, then you definitely will want to build those administrative buildings. So I gave you a new way to overcome the obstacle, which is kind of them. One fun little thing you can do, actually, on your capital world, if you go over to your population, your jobs, and turn off the Enforcer, pull him off, we should see that our crime skyrockets up to 25%. Then we go to decisions over here, and if we had a bit more influence, I could negotiate with the crime lords. And what that'll do is give me 50% more crime, but also 10 stability. Then we turn the Enforcer back on, and it should get rid of almost all of the crime, so we just end up with 10 more stability for effectively no cost. Or very, very little cost, all in all, which I will do in just a moment. Let's go back to my capital world. Let's try that again. 24 influence. Let's get up to 25. Yes, yes, I know. Oh, gosh, dang it. Yes, I know. Thank you. Hey, look, more materialists. The way forward lies in our hands. Now we can negotiate. Do that. Now that we have this modifier for another 10% stability, we go back to our specialists, turn back on the enforcers, and we should see the crime go down to something manageable. Only 3%, but we get 10% more stability. So here's the thing we can do now. So diplomacy has been reworked in the game quite a bit, including some of their opinion modifiers and the way that you improve relations. We now have this resource called Envoys, and right now I have only 2 of them, 0 of which are currently being used. If I want to improve relations or antagonize them by harming relations, I can send an envoy to these people, and it'll gradually start improving or decreasing our relations. In this case, I'd like to improve relations with these guys a fair bit. So I'm going to send 1 envoy over here for sure. I'm not sure there's a lot of point in me trying to improve relations with hegemonic imperialists. I'm never going to be able to get them into a faction with me. And they're actively harming our relations, actually. So what I should do is send my 2nd envoy over here, since I have nothing better to do, and double up on trying to improve relations with this totalitarian regime. My hope being that even though they are authoritarian jerks, the materialist side of them might be willing to work with me in the future, and we can create a federation of our own. Let's go ahead and begin the excavation. Now, I haven't done excavations on this channel before. This is all something that was added after the fact, so after the last time I played. But excavations are a really cool feature in the game. Basically, your scientists, depending on their level, will start rolling a dice to try and make a breakthrough in a chapter of this excavation. And it is partly judged by this difficulty, which is right now considered Hell Plus. But every time we get a roll, hopefully we get some more clues, and these clues increase my breakthrough chance until we can continue. That's what I'd hope, anyway. So right now it's a skill 3 versus a skill 4. Now it's considered to be a normal difficulty. We're going to roll this, and it's going to work very similar to like EU4 siege rolls. Oops, hello. A former research agreement. Yes, that sounds perfectly good to me. So it's kind of like the rolls in an EU4 fort, as I was saying. And in this case, we did actually get a clue, which improved our breakthrough chance. And we're just going to keep doing this until eventually we can break through. Sometimes you get space artifacts, which completely change the game. And sometimes you spawn a space dragon or something stupid and it comes to kill you. I don't even know. As you can see here, by the way, we are improving relations with these guys by 6 per month. So if we can build them up from wary to, I think, yeah, there it is. Okay, terrible relations, tense relations, neutral relations, positive relations, and excellent relations. Excellent is what we are shooting for. Now they want to form a commercial pact with me, which increases the value of our trade networks. Okay. Yes, I think that seems fine. We should both profit from that one. What I may want to do is go over to my policies and change up my trade policy. Right now it's set to wealth creation, so every trade value that we collect, which right now I'm not collecting like any, but in theory, as we get more trade value, we'll get more energy for every trade value that gets back to our capital. I could change this to consumer benefits, which gets me half the energy, but some of that turns into consumer goods. Consumer goods are something I usually struggle with quite a bit, so I like that. Alternatively, we could just go for the marketplace of ideas and get a load of unity, but I think I'm going to worry about that. So let's go ahead and grab consumer benefits. This should turn into more consumer goods at the end of the month. We'll lose some energy in the process, but energy is relatively cheap. Consumer goods can be an absolute pain. And there we go. You can see that things have switched around at the end of the month. Looking a heck of a lot better all of a sudden. Offer a migration treaty. Sure, let's trade pops and stuff. That'll be fine. I'm going to go for diplomacy. I would normally go ahead and grab this so I can finish out expansion and get the extra ascension perk, but since we're already looking so good, I really want to be the one who forms this federation. This is probably not the optimal strategy, it's just the one I'm going for this series because it seems like a lot of fun. Also, I'm kind of hoping that we're going to be able to use them to punch these guys down a little bit. I think that could be kind of nice. Alright, we've reached the next section of our excavation site. What is in the depth that is worthy of such excursion? Let's keep digging. We get to move on to Chapter 3, do the exact same thing. This one's actually a pretty low difficulty, which is nice. Now, let's talk about some other features that have been added in to the game that I probably can't show you right now, but I'm hoping to at least in this miniseries. So obviously federations have been changed, and once I have the proper unity to go for the diplomacy here in 21 months, we will try to form a federation with these guys and see if we can make that work. On top of that, though, you also have something called I think it's called the Galactic Community, which is effectively like a space United Nations. So all the members can propose resolutions and either support or oppose those, or even abstain if they want to, and try to force various different policies of intergalactic law across all of its members. Some of that can be really good. You can sanction people you don't like or give yourself some extra diplomatic clout. A lot of that stuff seems great. Sometimes it results in problems. So, I don't know. I'm looking forward to showing that one off if we can. On top of that, there are a couple of new things that have been added into the game as well, such as a new class of ship. So there's a Juggernaut now. The Juggernaut is a super behemoth ship. You can only have one, I think, in your entire fleet. But it produces aura effects kind of like the battleships used to in the very beginning launch of Stellaris. So they are phenomenally powerful, and I look forward to building one of those at some point if I can. There's also some new mega structures. You've got the mega shipyard, which I assume is just a big frickin' shipyard that builds things unbelievably fast. So that would be kind of fun to deal with. I don't know, a lot of cool things there, and of course, obviously, all the rebalancing of civics, but most of the changes in Federation come down to the diplomatic changes, and right now, like, we're doing really well on that front. It's looking pretty good. I just want to form that Federation, dang it. I want to be the one who sets it up. It'd be really freaking fun to do that. Let's go for some tile blocker removal, and we could go for living metal, but Robot modification points. Ooh, Strikecraft. Strikecraft have been rebalanced. They are actually now really good. Really, really good. I definitely would like to have some of those. Okay, let's go to this planet. We actually can now set up a robot assembly plant. The reason I really like robots a lot in this game is because you always have one demographic of your primary species that is growing in population, right? Then you can be assembling robots as well, and now you have two bars that are trying to build up simultaneously. It basically doubles your pop output, and you can have the robots do all the menial jobs with mining and farming and whatnot. But then you have your extra real pops growing for all the specialist jobs. I don't know, it just feels like robots are extremely good right now. And I do want to make use of that. Alright, so the archaeological site just finished. Looks like we got to Chapter 3 and then it stopped. Either because that's where it meant to stop or we failed in some way. Ah, crap, I just realized these guys closed their borders. My spaceship can't even get back if he wants to. Ah, boo, that was so rude. And you also stole the archaeological site. I don't like you. I don't like you very much at all. How strong are we compared to you? Well, it seems like we're roughly equivalent right now in most fields, but if I can form that federation, then you're gonna be sorry. In 1 month, I can go for the next round of diplomacy. The Federation unlocks diplomacy. The Federation available envoys increases by 1. That's obviously very useful, but boom, now we can form federations. Hey, buddies! Would you like to form a federation? You would? Okay, let's do this. So what kind of a federation do we want? Well, there are a few things we can do here. So, there are, I think, 5 different types of federation. There are the Galactic Union, the Research Cooperative, the Trade League, the Martial Alliance, and the Hegemony. Now, which one you can choose is slightly dependent on your civics. So, for example, Trade Leagues can be formed by Megacorps or Merchant Guilds. Martial Alliance, Militarist or Fanatic Militarist. Hegemony, Rogue Servitor? Really? Or Authoritarian and Fanatic Authoritarian. So each of these are slightly different in how they work. The Research Cooperative is something we could do, and it would be pretty good. Free and automatic research agreements between all Federation members, but let's be honest, I probably can get that anyway. I think I can. So let's go for the Galactic Union. I'm going to let it do a random name probably and just see what it comes up with because I can't think of anything at the moment. This increases the trust of these guys by 1 and gives us additional influence for having a new member. The cool thing about the Galactic Union is the diverse ethics impose a 50% smaller penalty to cohesion. Now, what does all of that mean? Well, I will have to show you in just a moment. Let's go ahead and set up a new federation. Any second now. There it is. New federation. Let history record that on this day, the governments of the United Geodes of Rook and the Great Uvakasvani Nation signed a treaty of federation. As members of the Stellar Pact, oh, that's kind of boring, I wish I had gone with something else, they will now face the future as firm allies. This new Galactic Union will serve as a shining example to the rest of the galaxy of all that can be accomplished by working together. A new era of interstellar diplomacy has begun. Okay, we've also established some communications with an artisan troop. That's actually pretty nice. I like them. All right, so let's take a look at our new Federation before we end up with this video. So we are the president right now of the Federation because we are the founders, but depending on our succession law, someone else can become the president over time. Maybe it's after our term is over, like 20 years or something along those lines. We have our modifiers shown right here, the 50% smaller penalty. I'll show you why that matters in a minute. And the Federation centralization, which is currently set to minimal. Our members are the United Geodes of Rook and the Great Uva Kunsavani Nation or whatever. Here's our economy power, kind of showing off who has the most strength right now. To begin with, we are level 1. Now, how do you gain levels as a Federation? Well, it comes down to this thing called cohesion. Cohesion basically represents how well your Federation members are going to be getting along and integrating amongst each other. If you have negative cohesion, even a tiny bit of negative cohesion, you lose experience every month. We want to be in the positive. Best way to get the positive is to have less members, or to have less diverse ethics, or simply assign an envoy. And I do have one of those, so let's go ahead and assign it, and now we're in the positive, which means every month we should be going positive 10% XP going forward. As you gain XP, you level up. When you level up, you get perks. So to start off, we have this Galactic Union thing, which again, we've shown in just a second. But then we have level 2, so we have Officer Exchange. The amount members contribute toward the Federation and naval capacity counts for 25% more. So if you remember Federations from the earlier version of the game, once you join a Federation, you have to contribute a certain amount of your fleet or your naval capacity to a Federation. So there's a Federation fleet that is controlled by whoever's the president at the time. This just means that whenever we contribute, let's say, 10 naval capacity, it actually acts as if it's 12.5 capacity for the Federation. So the Federation gets stronger militarily. Then we have the welcoming nature, which is a whole Federation modifier. New members impose a 50% smaller cohesion penalty, so we can get larger. This is one of the reasons I wanted to play as a Galactic Union, because we can actually get lots of new members without having too much of a cohesion penalty. And then finally, federal envoys. The president only gets an additional envoy. So some members get bonuses and the president get bonuses. And depending on who's the president, it'll depend on what you get. As we continue to level up, there will be a whole bunch of new perks. You can get all the way up to level 5. If we take a look over here, we have members. So right now, we can actually see the aggregate of all of our score, kind of giving us some sense of where we stand diplomatically in our own federation. So right now, they have a better economy than we do. They have a better fleet than we do, but we have better tech than they do. So all of this is coming together to give me a diplomatic weight of 227. They have 256. At the start, this doesn't matter too much, but understand how the diplomatic weight option works because it will be very important once the Galactic Community becomes a thing. And here we have our ethics. So we're not in direct opposition with each other. If I were an egalitarian and he were an authoritarian, we would lose a lot of cohesion because of the non-compliant ethics. However, right now, it's ultimately not that bad. It's easily overcome with one envoy. We will be gaining experience as time goes on. The fleet doesn't exist yet. At some point, we will get to use that. And then we have laws. Now, this actually is very reminiscent of the CK2 law system, which I think is actually kind of cool. If we can continue to level up our federation, which we should as long as we have good cohesion, we can level up to 2, 3, 4, and 5, higher levels of centralization, right? The higher we go, the more cohesion we lose per month, the more envoys will need to be sent in order to keep it up and running, preferably from as many members as are willing to contribute. As you gain new levels of centralization, you unlock new laws. So right now, we don't have a Federation fleet, but if we can get to low centralization, we can have a low contribution to the fleet, where people transfer 10% of their naval capacity, at the cost of more cohesion. That can scale all the way up to 30% for 0.75 monthly cohesion. You also can see that right now, our members are not feeling particularly inclined to do this. Even if we had the ability, they would vote no, so can't do any much of anything here right now. Succession type, rotation, or we can make it random. Right now, they like the idea of rotation because they're the next in control. But we could set it to random later if we wanted to, and this would mean that just some new person is randomly in charge. Rotation, though, is very predictable. I like this. We could change it to challenge. Whatever the heck this means, the Federation chooses its president by challenge. Do we fight each other in the tar pit somewhere? I have no idea. Then we have strongest. Whoever has the most powerful empire will become the president. So they kind of start turning it into a bit of a hegemony, which could be pretty good, though. If we want to be the strongest, I mean, yeah, I'd like to be the president and get those benefits as much as possible. I'd rather have it than let the AI have it. Succession term right now is only set to 20 years. Then we have subjects can or cannot join, which we don't have any subjects right now, so it's irrelevant. Vote weight is currently equal, but we could change it to diplomatic at medium centralization, and that's where this diplomatic weight becomes really important. War declaration has to be unanimous, invite members has to be unanimous, kick members, free migration, separate treaties, etc., etc. Lots of cool things that you can do with your federation. So if you click on this map mode, there we go. You can see that they have taken on my colors. They are a part of this federation. I like it. All right, so yes, with the federation done and ready to go, why are we losing experience now? Based on, we're losing experience because right now I'm in negative cohesion. We have to build it up over time first, but they contributed an envoy, so it is getting slightly better over time. We're not getting any XP until this is done. So once we get positive cohesion, then we'll start getting the experience we need to continue leveling up. Okay, good. Yes, I understand how this works now. Perfect. All right, well, I think I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. So we have formed a federation. All we need to do now is meet half of the galaxy. And once somebody has met half of the other players, then we can form the Galactic Community, or somebody will. We'll become a ratifying member, and we can start playing with that feature for our diplomacy as well. And if I can find some other empire of the right types of ethics, I will happily add them in to our federation so we can get a lot stronger, form a massive coalition, and start conquering half the galaxy. Or at the very least, ensure that I'm tucked away in a corner and no one is a threat to me. That also works just fine. Thank you all very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If so, then I would ask you to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And I, as always, will see you guys next time.
All right, let's go ahead and do it.